Hello, and welcome everyone to the Transformative Power of Art, hosted by the New Jersey State Council on the Arts. We at the Arts Council are pleased to announce the launch of the Transformative Power of Art, a guide to arts learning for systems-impacted youth in New Jersey. This guide will support teaching artists, arts providers, and arts and community-based organizations who engage with systems and justice-impacted youth. A few logistics before we begin today. Today's webinar will be recorded and shared on the Arts Council's website. Captioning is available via the Zoom closed captioning feature, and we request that participants do not use any personal or AI recording devices during this webinar. We will begin today with a presentation on the Transformative Power of Art guide, followed by 4 guest speakers who will highlight aspects of the guide. I will introduce those speakers before their brief presentation. Today's presentation will focus on the transformative power of art, its content, and how to use it. Discussion around funding opportunities is not a part of today's webinar. As a note, we ask that you please use the Q&A function for any questions that you may have for the Arts Council or our speakers. We do not have a designated time allowance for questions. However, should time allow, we will answer as many as we can. If we are unable to answer your question, we will share answers in the email follow-up to this webinar. My name is Samantha Patel-Clark. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the Program Officer for Arts Education and Lifelong Learning at the New Jersey State Council on the Arts. The State Arts Council is the largest funder of the arts in the state of New Jersey. And at the Council, we believe the arts are central to every element we value most in a modern society, including human understanding, cultural and civic pride, strong communities, excellent schools, lifelong learning, creative expression, and economic opportunity. In 2019, New Jersey legislators passed Bill A 4500, giving the State Arts Council the authority to develop a best practices guide on how to provide arts programming for, in their words, at-risk youth. The Arts Council has later defined this as systems and justice-impacted youth, which we will explain on the next slide. After many months of research and professional development for our staff, we engaged with the Learning Agenda, a national consulting firm dedicated to building the capacity of youth-serving organizations, to develop this guide in partnership with us. So let's start talking about the guide. Who do we mean when we say systems-impacted youth? Throughout the guide, we use this term to refer to a diverse group of young people who have lived experience with public sector systems. This term is intended to be inclusive of young people who have been involved or impacted by the juvenile justice system, foster care, public housing, food assistance programs, the immigration system, and or a myriad of other public programs. Systems impacted youth may be personally involved with public sector systems or may have family members that are. These young people may have risk factors that have been shown to increase their likelihood of engaging in or falling victim to crime, and they may also lack the supports needed to grow up healthy and thriving. This guide is intended to uplift the unique needs and assets of systems-impacted youth. While we know that New Jersey is one of the wealthiest states in the country with one of the nation's top 5 educational systems, the high cost of living, generational poverty, and eroding social supports for those furthest from opportunity create challenges for many families and impact the well-being of children all across our state. If you haven't read the guide yet, what's stopping you? But don't worry, the guide will remain available on the Arts Council's website for you to download and print, and you can access a virtual copy of the guide via the link in the chat. Each chapter addresses a specific topic or aspect of program planning, implementation, refinement, and sustainability. You can peruse the table of contents and jump around to sections that are most applicable for you, or you are welcome to read the guide cover to cover. Throughout the guide, you will see examples of programming in New Jersey and beyond, that will highlight some of the concepts we discussed today, as well as many others. Links to connect to programming, research, organization, and individuals are all live in the guide. So we encourage you to dig deep, click more to learn more. At the end of each chapter is a practitioner tip sheet that shares key takeaways from the chapter, action steps to put these lessons into practice, and questions for reflection. The primary audience for this guide is community-based arts learning providers and teaching artists. But we hope that a variety of users may be able to find useful information within its pages. For teaching artists working in community settings, we hope that you find information in how to both engage and support young people in your communities, as well as tips and tricks for building and evaluating the curriculum you provide, all while uplifting student voice and choice. For community-based providers like food pantries, places of worship, libraries, housing developments, YMCAs, Boys and Girls Clubs, and more, we hope that this guide encourages you to begin an arts program for the young people you engage, or learn how to deepen your engagement by providing high-quality, youth-led arts programming. For arts organizations working in community spaces, we hope this guide will encourage you to think of holistic partnerships and services that can support the whole participant, as well as ways to expand and deepen your research. And for our friends at other state agencies, both in New Jersey and across the country, we hope that this guide inspires reflection on how your programming can use the arts to achieve your goals to create healthier communities and healthier, more resilient youth. So you may be asking yourself, how can picking up a paintbrush or putting on a play create healthier communities? In chapter 1 of this guide, we dive into just some of the decades of research that demonstrates that youth who participate in the arts achieve greater educational success, including higher test scores, reduced absenteeism, and higher graduation rates. Youth engaged in the arts also have improved emotional regulation, a deeper sense of self and belonging, higher markers of empathy and critical reflection skills, and are less likely to engage in risk behaviors such as underage drinking, violence, and social isolation. Research proves that arts programs are particularly transformative for systems-impacted youth, offering safe environments to grow, express themselves, and build a sense of belonging and resilience. This next slide features a quote from teaching artist and founder of the EJM Foundation, Eric James Montgomery. Eric says, "The arts provide opportunities for youth to explore who they are and create an environment where they feel comfortable sharing themselves with the world." Eric's programs with systems and justice-impacted youth are featured throughout the guide, and I encourage you to read more about the work that he is doing both in Camden and across the state. Throughout the guide and this webinar, you have probably already heard us uplift student voice and choice, and we are not going to stop anytime soon. Student voice and choice is the cornerstone to high-quality arts programming. When thinking about how to engage with systems-impacted youth, think about where young people already congregate and where they already have interest and engagement. If you're struggling to bring in young people to your programming, think about where your programming can go out to reach them. Think about your community and where youth gather. Maybe it's the library after school, a basketball court or recreation center, barbershops, salons, housing centers, shelters, or a place of worship. There's one program here in New Jersey that even brings the art into laundromats, where they know that families will spend a good portion of their weekend. Spaces in the community offer unique opportunities for authentic engagement and relationship building. And as you begin to form these relationships, we encourage you to think about where youth are already investing their time, money, and attention. I bet you there's an art form that can expand that interest into an artistic practice. Imagine you are a librarian that notices a group of teens coming into the library after school. Perhaps you see them reading graphic novels or trading comic books. You may consider partnering with an artist who can teach how to create a comic book or graphic novel. Maybe they're always listening to music in their headphones. Consider how engaging with a teaching artist can build skills in sound production, drumming, or songwriting, and how that might ignite their interest. Or if the kids hanging out in front of the Wawa are always posting videos of dance clips, there may be a teaching artist in your community who can teach hip hop, jazz, or breaking to really amp up their social content while building skills in the arts. And if you are from out of state and don't know what a Wawa is, it is more than a convenience store. It is a convenience experience. We hope you'll experience one soon. Throughout this guide, we encourage you to listen to your young people. They already have interests and things that make them feel heard, seen, and connected. There is an art form to meet them exactly where they are. So you may be thinking, okay, I know the arts can benefit my community and the young people who live here. I believe the research, and I know what youth are interested in. I just don't know how to get started, who to reach out to, and what systems there are to support this type of work. Well, as our former governor said, we're Jersey, baby. New Jersey is home to a rich landscape of artists, arts organizations, and local and statewide arts programs. There are many layers of support throughout the state for those who are providing community-based programming, and we encourage you to think of the many levels where you may find support. Here in New Jersey, we are anchored by the New Jersey State Council on the Arts, which I mentioned earlier is the largest funder of the arts in the state. We support thousands of individual artists and arts organizations through our grant programs and free public services. We encourage you to take a look at our website and sign up for our newsletter to keep up to date on opportunities to network, learn, and apply. The Arts Council also supports all 21 counties through our local arts program. This grant supports the county arts agencies, which provide grants and services at the local level. We are also supported by statewide service organizations that provide direct services to the field, including artist support, professional development, and more. So for a look at these systems of support in the state and for guidance on how you can map resources that may support your programs, check out pages 10 through 14 of the Transformative Power of Art. If you are from out of state, that's fine too. We encourage you to think of local, regional, and statewide players that can help you achieve your programmatic goals. We encourage you to reach out to your state arts agency or map local resources to find out what local, county, or statewide services may support work in your area. Artistic Director of Sharon Miller's Academy of Performing Arts, Sharon Miller shares, the arts enable children to find their own voice. Without exposure to the arts, young people cannot fully realize their intrinsic value. It is up to us, the provider community, to nurture possibilities within each and every student. As a provider, it may be difficult to know what young people want and how to model your programming after those needs. Throughout the guide, we provide frameworks for building programming, developing lesson plans, evaluating and assessing success, and guidance on how to adjust to better meet the needs of youth participants. We use research-backed methods to ensure that programming is high quality, healing-centered, and culturally responsive. One such framework comes from the Wallace Foundation's publication, Something to Say, Success Principles for After-School Arts Programs from Urban Youth and Other Experts. This publication defines 5 things that youth are looking for in a structured arts program. Those are expert instructors. Teaching artists are the heart of a successful program. Not only are they the experts in the art form, they may also be a bridge to the young person's community and identity. Experiential learning in inspiring spaces. Youth-centered spaces that prioritize youth voice and choice can lead to deeper learning, meaning-making, and social emotional outcomes. Consider how your spaces can be welcoming for all identities, beliefs, and abilities. And please note, this doesn't mean you have to have a high-tech studio with all of the latest gadgets. However, ensuring that there is a dedicated space that is intentional, safe, and welcoming for youth can foster rich engagement and deep learning. Youth have also identified wanting an opportunity to foster new friendships. Consider how your participants engage with one another and look for ways to build relationships and community amongst the group. Foster dialogue and conversation among participants, and use feedback as a gateway to deeper connection. Number 4 is culminating events. Workshops that build upon each other and lead to a culmination can engage and motivate young people. Arranging for space for students to present their work to others builds community and connection. And finally, program extras and proven incentives. When engaging with systems impacted youth, the programs we provide are more than just art, and the extras aren't just extra. Think of how your programming may be supported by holistic supports that can reach the whole child and their family. Snacks, meals, supplies, hygiene products, access to social workers, and space for family to gather while sessions are going on can meet the child where they are and ensure that they are both safe and healthy. This is best exemplified in this quote by Executive Director of Trenton Circus Squad, Thomas Van Olsen. He says, "Our model includes holistic support for kids and their families. Together with our partners, we provide daily snacks and meals, life skills and counseling, academic tutoring, safe transportation, pantry items, and hygiene products that participants can take home and share." Not what you expected from a circus school. And finally, before I pass it on to our guest speakers, I want to highlight a key role in arts learning programming, and that is the teaching artist. A teaching artist is a practicing artist who works to deliver arts learning experiences that are formed by artistic processes, are engaging and relevant, are developmentally appropriate, and are grounded in youth development principles. They are a dual-careered individual, both as a practicing artist, immersed and knowledgeable in their art form, but also as an instructor or educator that is aware of or trained in educational techniques and approaches. And I bet we have a bunch of them here today. Teaching artists are not necessarily certified arts educators like you would find in a K through 12 school setting, although some may be. We talk about teaching artists extensively throughout the guide, and we stress their importance when providing arts programming. I encourage you to read about teaching artists in the guide, particularly in Chapter 3, when we go into detail about who they are, where to find them, how to select them, and how to provide training for them. It is now my pleasure to pass the mic to our first guest, Dr. Joseph Papica, Director of Education at the Youth Justice Commission. Joe joined the Youth Justice Commission in September of 2023 as the Director of the Office of Education. Prior to coming to the YJC, Joseph served as a school administrator in suburban and urban districts in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. To read his full bio, check out the presenter bio in the chat now. Joe, I'm wondering if you could come off mute and answer a question for me. Why are the arts important for youth who are currently involved or impacted by the justice system?
Thank you, Samantha. It's great to be here. I'm Dr. Joseph Papica. I got a lot of joy out of watching all of the comments the past few minutes as folks introduce themselves. And it's so cool to see private teaching institutions, schools, high school teachers, symphony, ballet, orchestra. So I'm privileged and humbled to be here. And over about the next 8 to 10 minutes. I'm going to go quickly, but my hope is to give you a few talking points over the next few minutes as to why the arts are so important in justice-involved education and why the work I've done over the past 2.5 years is designed to bring a much greater whole child focus to the work that we do in justice settings. We do have 13 schools that serve students that are adjudicated, either found guilty, pled guilty, et cetera, in the state of New Jersey. And I'm here because I made a deliberate decision to serve the children who need us most in society. And the short answer to Samantha's question is in order to be articulate, you need art. So here we go. Let's get into it, Samantha. Uh, I have a table of contents for you. And again, we're going to go really quick, but I would invite, I'll put my contact info at the end, and I'd love to talk further with anyone whose interest is piqued. I'm going to talk about a nation at risk, No Child Behind, National Assessment of Educational Process Testing. I'll give you a little bit of research, and then I'll jump into the deeper details of the justice system itself. Go ahead, Sam. Next. I'm hoping that you'll leave me today with 2 talking points. And now that I know a little more about who the audience is, I'm really optimistic that all of you who are arts involved will go out of here with these 2 talking points, ready to advocate for more art for students, more funding for art, more opportunities for art. And then hopefully you'll know a little bit about why it's so important to us in the justice system. So yes, we have time for art, and yes, art can have a positive impact on recidivism rates. Next slide. So I'm sure you've heard of the now infamous report from 1983, A Nation at Risk. Uh, Oftentimes, artists blame this report and this group of politicians for art instruction being minimized in school settings. But the truth is, it's probably a little bit more complicated than that. The report called for more and better quality instruction across all instructional areas. And in fact, the reason we require arts instruction at the high school level is because of the advice from this report in 1983. So that's out there, but in a more colloquial sense, probably you start to see the pendulum go slowly but surely more towards English and math. And we trace the source of that to 1983. So next slide. We keep in terms of the political part of this discussion. Fast forward to 2000, 2001, No Child Left Behind. When this sort of came on board, we now, at this point, tested subjects were going to be more and more important. Some people, of course, argue that we were corporatizing education a little bit, but that's outside of the scope of this presentation today. But what we know for sure is that this is the source of why we get double math periods, and then we canceled music, and we would get double English periods, and we would cancel art and things of that nature. So, of course, now it's been quite a while since No Child Left Behind, but it gives us this sort of uh, uh, psychological backdrop for where we're at with arts. And it's almost always the reason why people argue that we need more math and more English language arts and less music, less art, less theater, less dance. And of course, I'm going to argue that that isn't really fair and try to give you some talking points as to how we get there. Next slide, please. If you zoom out and look at one of the most famous of our data sets in American schools, it's the NAEP report, the National Assessment of Educational Progress, that's been going on for quite a long time. So I pulled data from the 70s to present. And while people like to say the American school system is in crisis, that's why we had the Nation at Risk report, then we had No Child Left Behind. I would gently argue that our performance as a nation has been pretty steady over the generations. You'll notice, especially in math, that we were creeping up and up and up and up, and then started downturning again around 2012. So while things have recently been in a downturn, and of course, there was definitely some trouble around the pandemic time. But if you zoom out far enough, what you see is that American schools are pretty consistent in their performance over the generations. What that tells me is that canceling art in exchange for more math has not helped or given us the results that we would wanted it to have. So the data does not back the canceling of the arts programs. Next slide. And I know I'm going fast. Oh, by the way, all the pictures you see are artwork created by our residents, our adjudicated youth. So I thought I'd throw in one research article, and it's quoted down at the bottom there for you. Strong evidence that arts can produce meaningful impacts on students' academic outcomes and social emotional development. Whole child approaches help with graduation proficiency. A period of art leads to more engagement and better quality ELA and math in the periods that follow. And of course, I'm probably preaching to the choir, but we need more arts professionals to pick up that torch and empower students in traditional high school programs, in after school and weekend arts programs. And of course, I say this selfishly, so please pardon me, but we need more art people to serve us in justice-involved settings. Next slide. What does that mean before I get into the details of the justice system? If you hear someone say that American schools are in crisis, and that's why we don't have time for music, theater, arts, dance, etc. I would say that the crisis narrative has been hard at work in schools since at least the 1950s. That's when LBJ came in with the Elementary and Secondary Act, and then so on through the generations there. I'm just not sure the crisis narrative holds water. So were we really failing in the 80s, or were other countries just getting themselves developed as the Cold War, post-World War II era ran on? Other people argue that the NAEP scores represent a crisis, but again, I would caution that that's a bit of a narrative. If you zoom out far enough, that we are pretty steady. Some folks are pro-testing and some folks are anti-testing. I would say maybe we should expand, if we're going to be stuck with testing, which many educators believe we are, at least at the moment, maybe we should give students more opportunities to show their qualifications. So could we expand, if we had to keep testing, let's expand it and allow kids to do an art portfolio instead of just being forced to pass a math test. Or maybe students could do a dance routine instead of being forced to pass an ELA test, and so on like that. And of course, arts programs help students. If you can have a few classes that you enjoy in the arts, then go back to ELA and math class. Your 45 minutes in math class will be much more productive after an art class than if you just had a 90-minute math class in its place. So I know, Samantha, I'm a little low on time, so I'm going to keep it moving here. Have you ever seen a toddler have a bad day in a public space, or sometimes referred to as a Karen in our society these days, right? If you've ever seen a toddler have a temper tantrum, I view that as the individual's inability to articulate their needs in a way that civilization finds acceptable. That's it at its core, right? So next slide, please. All right. If it's a baby, we tend to laugh it off and think it's cute. But when it's an adult, it tends to be more difficult and less endearing. But when it's an incarcerated young person, if they cannot articulate what they're feeling in a way that society accepts, they wind up turning to violence. And I've seen it over and over and again in my career, which is why I believe if you can, in order to be articulate, you need to have some art skills. It literally makes our employees safer, it makes our fellow residents safer, and it gives our kids a skill set so that when they go on parole or exit our system, they have ways to express themselves that will not bring them back to the jail setting. Next slide. So I believe that all individuals should receive training that helps them to serve a greater good. I'm quoting Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics there, but we've got to give kids skills so that they can go out and do something that's meaningful to them and meaningful to others. Art allows you to express yourself, and of course, good art serves society. You guys all know that because I saw your businesses in the chat. When students articulate their ideas, they have an alternative to violence as a method to get what they need and as a means of being a service to a greater good. So we have to give them, we have to find something that they like and nurture that skill. Again, I take a broader view. It could be culinary arts, the art of cooking. It could be expressing yourself through woodworking, or it could be painting, dance, yoga, the list goes on, right? Musical instruments. So a few quick personal experiences that I have personally been part of. A young man who's with us for multiple homicides has been able to go through culinary arts training, visual arts training, and entrepreneurship training. And as he gets ready to go on parole, he now has his own small business, in this case, as a personal trainer. So maybe I'm stretching arts a little bit, but by allowing him to use art to help rehabilitate himself, he's got himself to a point where he actually has clients waiting for him for when he goes on parole. So that'll be pretty exciting to see when he gets out. Another one is you saw some of the pictures as I went through the slideshow. We have an entire campus beautified through the work of our art teacher and our art students. And we know quantitatively that discipline infractions are down because the campus has been beautified through artwork. We also have a case of interdisciplinary work between counselors and teachers. I'll show you that in just a second on the next slide. And we meld art with trauma healing counseling, and that has been very successful in our girls program. The last one I want to mention is we have a documentary that was created by our parent agency, Law and Public Safety. And one of the things they found as they interviewed students for this documentary film was the overuse of the phrase, "you feel me." So when a young person runs out of a means to express themselves, what they would typically do is they devolve into, "you feel me, you feel me, you feel me," or racial expletives. I believe that whole child instruction in the arts gives students a way to get beyond that very basic and immature level of communication. So we need it to make society a better place. Next slide. Here's a few pictures of T-shirts that our students in our girls program made as part of their trauma healing. It's sad to say, but very, very often our female residents come to us with a history of sexual abuse, and art is a way through which they can engage in healing activities and again get ready to re-enter civilization and hopefully not recidivize. So that brings me to an end. Thank you for your patience, Samantha. I know I'm over. I hope you have two talking points. First one is the U.S. school system is not in the crisis that people like to argue that it is. In other words, we have time for art. Art makes English better. Art makes math better. And then the second one, I hope you're now able to go out and talk about how art gives us opportunities for our most unempowered young people so that they can find their voice and serve something larger than themselves. To be articulate is to be powerful, and you can't have articulate without art. So thank you. I'm grateful for your time and for your attention. If what I said caught your attention, there's my contact info. I'd love to speak with you and see how we can partner or what we can do to serve our children in New Jersey. Thanks, Samantha. Thanks all.
Thank you, Joseph. And please do not apologize. There's so much validation and love in the chat. We are so grateful that you were able to join us today. And as a reminder, if you have any questions for any of our speakers, please use the Q&A function in Zoom. And next, I'd like to introduce Shay Murray, the Visual and Performing Arts Coordinator at the New Jersey Department of Education. As the coordinator, he oversees the development of the student learning standards for the arts and implementation resources. To read his full bio, check out the presenter bio in the chat now. And Shay, I'm wondering, how can the visual and performing arts learning standards work with community-based arts programming?
Well, thank you, Samantha. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this. I also want to thank you and the State Council on the Arts for creating this guide to work towards ensuring that every student in New Jersey has access to the arts. And Joe, thank you for all that great research and information you provided to support arts learning. I'm very grateful for that, and I wish more people could hear that as well. But to answer your question, we can go on to the next slide. Having a basic understanding of the structure and the function of the New Jersey Student Learning Standards for Visual and Performing Arts can assist in planning, executing, and assessing the overall impact of community-based programming. The standards communicate the outcomes that local education agencies, so all New Jersey public schools and districts, what they focus on when they design curriculum, instruction, and systems of assessment for the 5 arts disciplines of dance, media arts, music, theater, and visual arts. The standards are research-based and provide foci for teaching and learning by identifying essential outcomes for all students to achieve by the end of a grade level or a course. These outcomes are for all students, regardless of socioeconomic status, gender, race, or ethnicity, whether they receive special education services or their level of proficiency in English. The standards are a means to ensure that all students have equal opportunity to learn the knowledge and skills that are foundational to later learning, ensure readiness for post-secondary education or career pathways, and are essential forms informed citizenship. And we can't forget just that ability to find joy in the experiences that can only occur through arts learning and engaging in the arts beyond K-12. Next slide. So the New Jersey standards are based on the national art standards and are established on philosophical foundations and lifelong goals, which are listed on this slide. These common values and expectations of the arts disciplines provide a roadmap for arts learning. They also define artistic literacy and clarify how students can engage in the arts beyond high school, and how arts involvement contributes to college, career, and lifelong learning. Knowing the lifelong goals can help educators and teaching artists create experiences for students to help them see how and why they can engage in the arts beyond a K-12 setting. Additional information about the philosophical foundations and lifelong goals can be found in the introduction to the 2020 New Jersey Student Learning Standards for the Arts. That document is posted on the NJDOE website. And we did recently go through a revision process for our standards, which is in the process of adoption. But all this information is going to remain part of the new standards as well. Next slide. So the overarching goal of the standards is to develop students' artistic literacy. And the way that the standards are structured is built into that across each discipline. So the 4 artistic processes and the 11 anchor standards are common for all arts disciplines and across all grade bands. The artistic processes, which are creating, performing, presenting, producing, responding, connecting, are the cognitive and physical actions that artists and teaching artists already engage in. The actions are the means by which arts making and arts learning are realized and develop artistic literacy through authentic engagement in the arts. So this is not just about learning about an art form or an artist. This is learning through the arts, learning through by engaging in the tools, materials, instruments, and practices used in creating works of art. The anchor standards, they describe the general knowledge and skills students are expected to demonstrate through their K-12 arts education. Within the anchor standards are enduring understandings, which are discipline specific, and they summarize the ideas and processes of the arts disciplines. They articulate the values of the discipline and provide students with the ability to connect ideas and concepts to other content areas and other arts disciplines. The essential questions, which are also discipline specific, set the stage for student discovery related to the enduring understandings. The performance expectations are year-end or end-of-course learning expectations that are also discipline-specific, yet vary by grade level. They translate the anchor standards into measurable goals by identifying the actions, behavior, skills, and thinking students must do to demonstrate their understanding. The number of performance expectations for each anchor standard varies by anchor standard and by discipline. And Samantha had mentioned earlier that voice and choice is crucial in arts learning, and the standards and the performance expectations are all built with that in mind. Next slide. This slide just illustrates the organization of the artistic processes and the correlating anchor standards. As the students progress through the grades, the performance expectations change to increase their knowledge and develop their skills. This provides for focus and sustained growth and development of students' artistic literacy and fluency. Being knowledgeable of the organizational structure of the art standards can assist in understanding the skills and knowledge that the performance expectations are designed to measure. Next slide. Using the standards in community settings can assist in planning and developing short-term or long-term projects or programs that are developmentally appropriate, while building on and enhancing arts learning that systems-impacted youth may have experienced or are currently experiencing in school settings. Identifying and highlighting the artistic processes participants engage in fosters a common understanding of the language, skills, practices, and habits of mind that artists and performers use in all phases of creating works of art. The performance expectations can measure participants' progress and assist teaching artists and community organizations validate the intended outcomes of the arts programs or project. And using the enduring understandings and essential questions can help develop or frame the idea for a project or an overall program. Referencing the performance expectations will help you know how to approach student learning that is developmentally appropriate. Next slide. So if you do have any questions or would like additional information, this is how you can access any information about the New Jersey Student Learning Standards on the department's website, also on social media. Some things do get posted on there. And then on the next slide is my contact information. Again, if you have any questions or would like additional information about the standards, how to implement the standards, or anything related to K-12 arts education, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'd be happy to have a continued conversation. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Shay. And for more about the artistic processes and the student learning standards, you can check that out on pages 34 and 35 of the Transformative Power of Art. Thank you so much, Shay. Finally, I'd like to introduce our last two speakers, Alicia Sauter and Mario Ramos from the Institute of Music for Children. Alicia brings over 30 years of experience as an arts educator and administrator, beginning her career as a teaching artist. She has worked throughout the tri-state area, teaching acting, playwriting, and conflict resolution in schools, community organizations, and youth facilities. And Mario is an artist and visual storyteller driven by a vision of growth through art, love, and community. His work centers on shaping an outer world that reflects these values, using creativity as both catalyst and connection point. To read their full bios, check out the presenter bios in the chat now. And thank you, Stella, my colleague, for dropping all of those great links and resources in the chat. Alicia and Mario, I'm wondering if you could share a bit about the Institute and answer the question, how can providers uplift student voice and choice in their programming?
Absolutely, be happy to. Thank you so much, Samantha. And I'm going to actually get us started, and then I'll bring Mario back to talk a little bit from his perspective. So good afternoon, everyone. I am truly grateful to be here to speak about a subject that has been central to my life for as long as I can remember. And I'm deeply grateful to the State Arts Council for the vital work that you do to keep the arts in New Jersey not only bountiful, but progressive, and for continually uplifting the essential role that arts play in our lives. And to talk about youth voice, what I do want to focus on is our organizational culture and how all of that works together to be able to do justice to youth voice as much as possible. So I get to be the executive director of the Institute of Music in Elizabeth. We are a community arts organization committed to providing meaningful access to arts education for as many young people as possible. That commitment shows up in very tangible ways. We subsidize roughly 75% of our program costs. We prioritize learning and language access and maintain a robust youth workforce development initiative. With us, young artists don't just participate in the arts, they build real workplace and leadership skills that serve them for years to come. We serve youth in grades K to 12 with a wide range of art forms, both on-site and throughout the community, and partner with youth service organizations to bring arts education to some of the most vulnerable young people, including those involved in the juvenile justice system. I'm deeply proud of this work, and I've had the privilege of witnessing its impact again and again on individual young people, on the art that they create, and on the community that forms through that creation. Today, I'm here to share with you what is at the core of our work, which is joy as practice, a framework for creativity, community, and leadership. Next slide. At the Institute, we've distilled our organizational culture into 5 core pillars: our authenticity, our belief system, our model of collaboration, our commitment to shared power, and at the center of it all, a dedication to leading from a place of joy. Joy is not only our starting point, it is also the byproduct of doing this work well. When these pillars are fully alive, they generate deep belonging, enduring relationships, compounding impact, creative innovation, and most importantly, cultivated leaders. Next slide. Belief. We believe in joyful work. We have an opportunity to do work with great purpose that feeds and energizes us. And when it doesn't, we got to inject some joy into it. The nonprofit grind isn't easy, but we're surrounded by kids and music and art and love. It's everywhere. It's hard not to find some joy every day. Next slide. Belonging and expression. We know that everybody wants to be seen and valued, and it is an intentional part of our infrastructure. How we greet people, how we connect to that kid in the corner that doesn't want to talk, how we take a moment to acknowledge someone's contribution or just admire their cute outfit. It matters. Shared purpose. Joy isn't just people running around being happy all the time. We know that joy is produced from being together, creating together, struggling together, overcoming together. An example of this is the recent and tragic loss of one of our lead administrators, Daryl Gent. While it was and continues to be heartbreaking, I cannot express the beauty that poured out of our community during this time. The generosity, support, and care was unmatched. People we hadn't seen in years came back and they said, "No, we have to be here. We are family." We believe in people and value and invest in our relationships just because. It's not always easy because we all know people are messy, but we lead with trust and respect and leave the door open for repair. Impact and possibility. Community and action is a beautiful thing. You feed the community and then you are fed by the community. It's the stone soup of it all. I may only have a carrot and he may have a potato and they may only have an onion, but together we have a meal. Next slide. Authenticity. At every level, from teaching staff through governance, we reflect the youth and families at the heart of our work. Our board, our staff, and our teachers don't look very different from the students we teach, and many come from similar backgrounds. We also see our community as reciprocal. Those we serve and those who deliver, support, and sustain the work are equally a part of the community. How do we hold community? We believe in the importance of conversing, being direct, having difficult conversations. Got to keep it real to be real. But with that, it requires trust and collective action. We practice assuming the best from others first. The challenge of being in community is that it can activate a need to protect or belief that someone isn't acting in our best interests. So when we talk about keeping it real, what it requires is staying grounded in care and trust. Shared ownership. Community isn't made in having everyone over for a great party. It's in the folks that help set up and cook and decorate. Yeah, it's the singing and chatting and the eating during the party too, but it's especially in the washing the dishes and throwing the garbage out after it. Belonging and expression. Belonging, expression, and creative practice. I love the phrase a creative village. A village is a place of safety, of connectedness, of home, coupled with the freedom of expression, imagination, and exploration. Does it get any better than that? Collaboration. Next slide. Contribution and shared resources. There's a culture of sharing at the Institute. It is rooted in the practice of volunteerism. Our students, our staff, our families all contribute at this on this level regularly. We also fundraise together, share opportunities with each other, and so much more. Our community is rich with resources. We practice asking for what we need and sharing what we have when we're able. Next slide. Collaborative decision making. We have an open door policy. We seek input and incorporate ideas and suggestions all the time. An example of this is a class that I've run for the last 6 years was re-envisioned by some of my students who proposed that it become a youth-led program instead. So I am no longer the teacher. They are. Trust and collective action. Our environment is one of support, not competition, of not what can you do for me, but how can I help? Sometimes it's for the kids. Sometimes it's about the art. Sometimes it's that these are my people. And other times it's that this is my place. But it's always us. Intentional diversity. We value a wide range of experiences, backgrounds, and paths across our community. We have teachers with master's degrees and some who are self-taught. We have administrators who have decades of experience and some who took an alternate route. While it has its challenges at times, ultimately, we are stronger, more equitable, and much more interesting. Next slide. Power. Meaningful engagement. Our young people, especially our youth leaders, are at the epicenter of our work. We give a lot to them, but also expect a lot from them, and they rise to the challenge and thrive. It's not easy, but it's always worth it, and they shine. Next slide. Creative power. Our young people build substantial relationships as students and colleagues of incredible professional artists. They learn from each other, share and create work together, and grow through collaboration built on mutual respect. Freedom with boundaries. Be yourself. We mean it. Everyone belongs here, and everyone holds responsibility here. We all help take care of each other and the community we're building together. That shared responsibility builds trust, confidence, and respect, and it gives our relationships room to grow, change, and surprise us in the best ways. Leadership and voice. We don't just talk, we walk the walk. We put young people front and center when they're ready and when the moment's right, always with support, guidance, and a watchful eye. And honestly, watching them step up is one of my favorite parts of the work. So instead of me telling you more about it, let's show you. So please join me in welcoming Mario Ramos, former student and now a proud member of our marketing team.
Hi, everyone. I first joined the Institute of Music when I was a junior in high school in the spring semester of 2022. I joined in a very dark and very confusing time in my life. My entire world was flipped upside down, and I had no real direction in my life anymore. The only things I knew were that I wanted to help my community, I loved the arts, and very desperately needed help myself. My best friend, a youth leader at the Institute of Music at the time, knew about the troubles that I was experiencing and bridged the gap for me to join. In my first free class, I felt tentative and uncomfortable. Being around so many unfamiliar faces in a completely different space with no real idea of who I was or what I was getting myself into. That uncomfortability quickly turned into certainty. For the first time in what then would have been 5 months, I felt heard, understood, and seen, not judged. During quarantine, my body didn't have the liberty to move, so my mind had the freedom to wander, but I didn't know how to utilize it. I loved film and reading, but I had never really worked on building my artistic muscle. We started off in an acting class with 15 students, more or less. The idea was for us to create a theater piece for the spring showcase. The class instead said they wanted to create a short film. Alicia gave us that space. The space was created, the ideas flowed, and the work was getting done. Structured, guided, and influenced. Having someone like Alicia, leader and teacher in everything she does, really allowed us to understand what our focuses needed to be without discouraging us. Our voices were heard and encouraged. Our work reflected that. I started to feel that outside of the Institute of Music too. I felt a real sense of how much it mattered for our voice to be heard and the power that it carried. I started speaking out on the things that mattered to me, having conversations with others, utilizing my voice to make them feel heard, acknowledged, and encouraged, empowered. That's how I felt. Because encouragement doesn't stop at the one who first received it, it creates a ripple effect. Alicia that semester took us to see a play she wrote called Raucous Caucus Tango. And there was one line in there that really stuck with me. If you can't be the dollar, be the change. I will be the change. I had been feeling very strong about many big problems around my neighborhood, my environment, and my community. Problems bigger than myself, problems even within myself. That quote helped materialize those feelings into action. I chose to be the change. My complaints and my disdain were given the power to take action and to change. IMC opened my mind to new ideas, new structure, new pathways that my life could take. Utilizing the arts to not only give myself a voice, but to uplift those around me. It opened up doorways to say, this is who I am. And thinking back on it, the most valuable part about the whole semester wasn't just the classes, but it was the space that we had obtained. It was the bringing of creatives from different fields together. Different artists working in conjunction with each other was necessary to make things work. And even 4 years later, having experienced so much life in so many different places around the world, that motif continues to follow me. The importance of art is how it brings people together. Because it is not just about how good a piece of art looks or sounds, but it is about what it makes us feel. That is the ultimate ingredient within this soup. It does not matter what language we speak, it does not matter what our background is, it does not matter what struggles we go through, because art is a translator in all fields. It shows us reflections of our being. It shows us the good, the bad, and the ugly. We connect and grasp onto these emotions so strongly that it sparks change amongst ourselves, whether it is taking action and helping the community or taking action within ourselves. That fuel is what keeps me going every single day. And I think about how lucky I was to have found the Institute of Music when I did, but also being able to see that not everyone has had the same opportunity as I have. Not everyone has had the same access to the arts. And it should never just be about how much income one makes, especially when you come from nothing. There is a desperate need to create. Everyone is an artist at heart, but life has a tendency to corrupt. Art is the pathway to heal. The ability to express one's ideas and emotions is the gift that the Creator gave us. And we're merely the mirrors. We are all the candles that make up the sun. So when I hear about the transformative power of art, I feel it to the fullest extent because it transformed my life. It gave me power, it gave me strength, it gave me purpose. That's why spaces like the Institute of Music are crucial to our society. Artists need community, and the community needs art. To end off, I want to share an African proverb that has also guided me through these last 4 years. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mario and Alicia. There's so much love for you in the chat, and rightfully so. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to all of our guest speakers today. We are so grateful for your time and expertise. Please note you can read more about the Institute on page 64 and 65 of the guide, and their website is in the chat. Please check them out. Actually, you can find everybody who spoke today within the Transformative Power of Art So again, we encourage you to read more, click all the links, and please share. We hope you'll stay in touch with us here at the Arts Council. We encourage you to check out our website and to sign up for our monthly newsletter called Opportunities for the Field. You are welcome to reach out to me and connect with any questions and concerns you may have, and especially if you want to partner or collaborate. My information is available in the chat. Again, thank you to my colleague Stella Baldwin, who has been our behind the scenes technical wizard today, sharing all the great links and information. We are so appreciative. I see no questions in the Q&A, but I will give a moment just in case there are any. And I hope folks do take a look at the chat. There are many people looking to connect. Giving just a moment to see if any questions come in through the Q&A. Will you send the recording so we can share? Yes, Molly. So we should have the recording ready by the end of the week. Everyone who registered will get an email that will have our speaker bios as well as the recording. So you'll be able to share it with folks, and it will be live on the Arts Council's website. The chat transcript will not be available. I believe we are unable to save that, but I will save it. So if there's somebody that you're like, hey, I remember somebody was in Middlesex County and they lead choirs, can you get me their contact information? I will be sure to share that with you. Thank you, Joe, for popping in your contact information. And with that, our hour is up. Thank you to everybody who joined us today, our speakers, and everyone who joined us from New Jersey and beyond. We have some out-of-state folks today. We're so grateful. Thank you all, and we look forward to connecting soon. Take care, everyone.